Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deaconess Elizabeth, and it is Wednesday, May the 31st, and I'm here today for your daily devotions. And today, our daily devotions comes from Luke, the 22nd chapter, starting at the 47th verse. So if you'd like to follow along, you may turn there now. While he was still speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, "Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" When Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, "Lord, should we strike with our swords?" And one of them struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his right ear. But Jesus answered, "No more of this." And he touched the man's ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple guard, and the elders who had come for him, "Am I leading a rebellion that you have come with swords and clubs? Every day I was with you in the temple courts, and you did not lay a hand on me. But this is your hour, when darkness reigns." Then seizing him, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed at a distance, but when they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, "This man was with him." But he denied it. "Woman, I don't know him," he said. A little later, someone else saw him and said, "You also are one of them." "Man, I am not," Peter replied. About an hour later, another asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean." Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you are talking about." Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word the Lord had spoken to him, "Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. The men who were guarding Jesus began mocking and beating him. They blindfolded him and demanded, "Prophesy, who hit you?" And they said many other insulting things to him. At daybreak, the council of the elders of the people, both the chief priests and teachers of the law, met together, and Jesus was led before them. "If you are the Christ," they said, "tell us." Jesus answered, "If I tell you, you will not believe me, and if I asked you, you would not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the mighty God." They all asked, "Are you then the Son of God?" He replied, "You are right in saying I am." Then they said, "Why do we need any more testimony? We have heard it from his own lips." That is our reading for today. So here we have at the beginning the account of Jesus being betrayed by Judas, and Judas kisses him on the cheek. We know that it is dark in this garden, and so in order to tell who Jesus is, Judas comes forward and reveals who Jesus is with this kiss. And this account here says that one of the disciples had cut off the right ear of the servant of the high priest. Now we learn in the Gospel of John that this disciple is Simon Peter, and the servant's name is Malchus. And of course, Jesus heals the servant's ear and is merciful to the servant, and he does this right in front of those who have come to arrest him, and yet they still arrest him. And then we have the account of Peter denying Jesus 3 times. And then the rooster crowed, and Jesus turned and looked at Peter, and Peter went and wept bitterly because he knew that he had denied Jesus 3 times, just as Jesus had said previously that he was going to deny him. And our reading concludes with Jesus before Pilate and Herod, and they tell Jesus to tell them if he is the Christ, but Jesus knows that if he says that he is, that they are not going to believe him. So they ask Jesus if he was the Son of God, and Jesus says that they are right in saying that he is. And so after this, they feel that they have heard enough. They didn't need to hear others testify falsely against Jesus because he had told them the truth from his very own lips. And as we know, the story will continue tomorrow before Pilate, and will lead to the crucifixion. So we are hearing today Luke's account of Peter disowning him. So we do hear a lot about Peter kind of messing up quite a bit here, but Peter realizes that he messes up, and he weeps and he laments over the sin that he commits. So that is our reading, and our hymn today, because of our reading, is going to be hymn 436, Go to Dark Gethsemane. It's a Lenten hymn, and we're going to sing verse 2. Follow to the judgment hall, view the Lord of life arraigned. Oh, the wormwood and the gall, oh, the pangs his soul sustained. Shun not suffering, shame, or loss. Learn from him to bear the cross. And we'll conclude with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Well, thank you for joining me for today's daily devotions. Again, a few announcements. This evening we have youth group meeting at 6 o'clock. No more choir practice for this summer as we were out. Tomorrow is Thursday. We will have our group of Mahjong meeting at 10 a.m. and our Grief Share group meeting at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. For those of you who do not know, we are collecting some items to welcome our incoming deaconess intern, Claire Gerard. So if you would like to bring in some nice housewarming gifts, like necessities that she may need for cleaning, or maybe even some non-perishable food to help get her started as she moves down here, we have that collection started up in Nice Hall, and we will be collecting that through June 18th, her first Sunday here. That's available. Again, if you are involved in VBS, our VBS dates are June 12th through the 15th. From 9 a.m. to 11:30. So if you are available to volunteer and to help out, we would appreciate any help you could give. As well as please be sharing that information with all the families that you know that have younger kids that maybe don't have anything going on that week. We would love to have them in our VBS program. And the registration link to volunteer and to participate in our VBS is found in our email newsletter and on both of our Facebook pages. I believe those are the announcements that I have for the time being. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.